since the majority considered Islam to be one religion and everything else to be one religion. It is the Hanbalis who said that a Christian will not inherit from a Jew will not inherit from a Christian will not inherit from a Zoroastrian will not inherit from a pagan will not inherit from a Jew. The Hanbali said that because the Hanbali said that each one of them has a distinct religion. The Jumhur, they said that when it applies to this particular issue, it's not like they're religion blind, but when it applies to this particular issue of tawaruth, all the religions are one and Islam is one, so there are two religions, Islam and everything else. Anyway, you will particularly not be judges and you will not particularly arbitrate or adjudicate any of these cases. But what matters, what is relevant in our times particularly, is this idea of transfer of ownership. And as we said, transfer of ownership is not all court-enforced transfer of ownership, which is the definition of mirath. It is usually bequeathing, which is fine between Muslims and non-Muslims. Both ways. Both ways. Then the Shaykh said, وَالْمُرْتَدُّ لَا يَرِثُ أَحَدًا وَإِنْ مَاتَ فَمَالُهُ فَيْءٌ. Okay, as for the apostate, he does not inherit from anyone, and if he dies, his estate becomes a fay, spoils will go to the treasury. That's the position of the majority as well. Imam ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, Shaykh Taqi-ud-Din, said that the murtad, his money will go to his children, will go to his heirs, because they are more deserving than the rest of the Muslims. Yes, he is murtad, and we don't acknowledge this, and we don't approve of it, so we will not ascribe him to any religion. So, we will not ascribe him to any religion, because he's not acknowledged in Islam. But he said, instead of taking the money and giving it to Bayt al-Mal, which is for all the Muslims, his own family are more deserving. Even if we treat the money like spoils, but you'll just give it to his kids, because they're, at the end of the day, they are more deserving than the rest of the Muslims.
That's assuming they're all Muslim, right? Kids?
Yeah, yes. So you'll give it to his Muslim kids. The apostate, his money will be passed on to his Muslim family after his death, according to Shaykh Taqi-ud-Din, which is another name for Imam Taymiyyah. But that is not according to the official position of the four madhahib, which you have to keep that distinction. And we said that positions outside of the official of the four madhahib, they need to be mainstreamed by widespread acceptance, by sort of court enforcement, by legislatures in the Muslim countries adopting those positions, or widespread acceptance among the larger Muslim community. And even that applies to everybody, despite my sort of my partiality. I can't claim to be impartial to Ibn Taymiyyah's positions. I am to a great extent Taymiyyah in inclination, but that also applies to him. It applies to everyone. Positions outside of the official sort of authorized views in the four madhahib, there has to be a mechanism by which they can be mainstreamed. It's not like you're just going to accept you're not going to have the liberty of basically selecting any position from anyone outside of the authorized positions of the four madhahib. There has to be a mechanism by which we recognize that the truth is not confined to the four madhahib, but we also recognize at the same time the weight of the agreement of the four madhahib and the weight of the authorized positions in the four madhahib, and the need for us to recognize that weight for consistency and perpetuity of the legal sort of framework. Okay. Then the Shaykh said, الثاني الرق فلا يرث العبد أحدا ولا له مال يورث ومن كان بعضه حرا ورث وورث وحجب بقدر ما فيه من الحرية. Slavery. A slave may not inherit and has no estate to be inherited. One who is partially free will inherit. His or her money may be inherited, and he or she may block others in proportion to the portion of himself or herself that is free. So why does a slave not inherit? Because he's owned, and if you pass on property to him, it will be owned by the master, and so it's counterproductive. So if you want to be kind to a slave, what do? You emancipate them. That's the first step. You emancipate them and then give them whatever it is that you want to give them. But the first step is emancipation. That's the first act of kindness. And then we have a tadbir. So if someone wanted to emancipate a slave upon his death, then that's called the tadbir, which is a promise of emancipation upon death. He says here, ومن كان بعضه حرا ورث وورث وحجب بقدر ما فيه من الحرية, which means one who is partially free will inherit. His or her money may be inherited, and he or she may block others in proportion to the portion of himself or herself that is free. So, like you have someone who is half emancipated, he will act like a half, he will take half of everything, because he will be acting in the capacity, in which capacity? Half of the capacity of the free, until he becomes completely free. Then he will act in the complete capacity of the free person. But he will act in half of the capacity of the free. And then he blocks also by his half. He blocks by his half. So everything he's acting with the capacity of half. Keep in mind, when we talk about blockage, when we talk about mawani' al-irth, there are there is some relationship between mana and hajb, right? Mana is to hinder from inheritance, and hajb is to block. The person who is mahjub, basically he's blocked not for his person or her person, but they are blocked because of their position. Their position in the family tree makes them blocked, but they are not inherently blocked. The Hindrances talks about the people who are inherently blocked. No matter which position they are in the family tree, they are blocked. They're out of this. They're out of the whole scenario. So the three, which is, اختلاف الدين, the difference in religion, religious affiliation, الرق, slavery, and the qatl, murder, the murderer will not inherit. لا يرث قاتل. No qatil or murderer will inherit. These three do not exist in the scenario. They just don't exist. They don't block. They don't exist. You just remove them. But people who are blocked, can they themselves block? Or can they be, can they themselves block? Like the children of the maternal siblings. Maternal siblings, they exist. Do they inherit with their mother? Yes, they do. Do they inherit with a grandfather? No, they don't. Certainly they don't inherit with a father or a grandfather. They inherit only when the deceased is kalala, who does not have a male ancestor. So those are the maternal siblings. If there is a grandfather, he will block them. Will they still affect the mother and block her partially from 1/3 to 1/6? Yes, they will. So it means what? They did not vanish. They are here. They are still with us. They are sort of not, they're still active there, But the three hindrances, which is slavery, murder, and the اختلاف الدين, the difference in religion. So the three hindrances make you non-existent in the scenario. You are non-existent. You don't do anything to the mas'alat al-miras. Okay, but if a person is a slave and 1/4 of him or her was emancipated, then he will act in the capacity of that 1/4. الثالث القتل فلا يرث القاتل المقتول بغير حق وإن قتله بحق كالقتل حدا أو قصاصا أو قتل العادل الباغي لم يمنع ميراثه أو لم يمنع ميراثه. Okay, the third hindrance is killing. The killer shall not inherit from one whom he or she killed unjustifiably. بغير حق, unjustifiably, because this is important. However, if he or she killed the deceased justifiably, such as for a capital crime or retribution, or when the legitimate authorities kill the rebels, then that will not be a hindrance against inheritance. That will not be a hindrance against inheritance. Okay, so what does that mean? Killing. Certainly, if you allow the killer to inherit the victim, that doesn't make any sense, right? Because people will be sort of, yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ said that a killer, a murderer, will not inherit. لا يرث القاتل والقاتل لا يرث. So which qatil here, but that's what the Prophet ﷺ said, the killer will not inherit. But then the scholars tried to figure out which one of them. Because what if I give my son medicine that kills him? Do I inherit? Huh? It's not intentional. So you're saying that it has to be intentional to be consequential. Okay. But what if people then try to do things like under the table? Should we not deter them from hurting their family members? Because how do you determine what's intentional and what's not? Is it hard to determine what's intentional and what's not? It is hard to determine what's intentional and what's not. So, okay. So we have two things here. We have two principles here that are to some extent conflicting. One principle is to implement justice and to not deprive any inheritor from their fair share of inheritance if they didn't do something wrong. The other principle here is to deter people from murder, from bloodshed. Deter people from bloodshed. So some of the scholars looked at this, the Shafi'is looked at this and said, La yarith qatil, no killer would inherit. It applies to any and every and each killer, whether this was intentional, non-intentional, direct, indirect, justifiable, unjustifiable. So if you are the executor of punishment, if you are the person who works for the court to execute the death penalty, and you happen to execute it on someone of your family members, you will not inherit. But you can excuse yourself, yeah. Yeah. But then, so Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he sort of tried to say, I will err on the side of deterrence, to deter people from bloodshed. Nobody will inherit from someone they killed, even if it was by mistake. Whoever told me it was a mistake? I mean, you're claiming it was a mistake. Whoever can prove that it was a mistake. I will consider it a mistake in court because I don't have proofs that it was not, but whoever told me. So that's what Imam. So at one end, Imam Shafi'i, at one end, it is all killers. And Imam Malik, on the other end, said it is only intentional killing. intentional killing.
Is it justifiable killing or intentional?
Okay, intentional killing that is unjustifiable. Unjustifiable. Keep in mind, when it comes to justifiable and unjustifiable, when it comes to, authorities killing the rebels, authorities killing the rebels, that is called al-Adil yaqtul al-Baghi. That is called the legitimate authorities killing the rebels. That is called justifiable here. Or it is someone who is executing a capital crime, the retribution or punishment for a capital crime, whether it is had or qisas. Had or qisas. The executor of the punishment for a capital crime, it's called justifiable. Imam al-Shafi'i said even that, no killer will inherit. Everybody, justifiable. The three other Imams said if it is justifiable, they will inherit. If it is justifiable, they inherit. That's the Malikis, Hanafis, and Hanbalis. But Malik, rahimahullah, on one side, or Imam Malik on one side, and he took the other end of the extreme, or a spectrum, I should say, from an Imam al-Shafi'i. He limited the killing that would be a hindrance to unjustifiable intentional killing. Imam al-Shafi'i said all killers. Imam Abu Hanifa said certainly he excluded justifiable. All of them except al-Shafi'i rahimahullah excluded justifiable killing. But Imam Abu Hanifa also excluded indirect killing with a tool that will not usually result indirect killing with a tool that will not usually result in death. Indirect killing with a tool that will not usually result in death. Imam Abu Hanifa also excluded the killing by a non-mukallaf. The killing by a non-mukallaf, such as the insane and the child. If a child or an insane person killed their family member, they'll still inherit according to Imam Abu Hanifa. The killing by the non-mukallaf, the child and the insane. Non-mukallaf. These are the exceptions that Imam Abu Hanifa gave when it comes to the general, and certainly justifiable. All of them, we said justifiable, will not. So those will be excluded. Those are excluded from the killing that will be a hindrance. And Imam Ahmad, there are two reports from Imam Ahmad. One, he only excludes the justifiable. One, he only excludes justifiable killing. That's it. So if you give your child medicine and it kills him, you don't inherit. Because he's only excluding justifiable. So in this sense, he's like a Shafi'i with one exception, that the Shafi'i does not excuse justifiable. So Imam Ahmad in this sense is very close to Imam Shafi'i with this exception. In the other report from Imam Ahmad, which is almost equally strong, he is very close to Imam Malik, but not all the way there. He said, if there is retribution, indemnity, which is diya. Retribution is what? Qisas. Indemnity is what? Diya. Or expiation, which is what? Kafara. He will not inherit. He will not inherit. If there is no retribution, indemnity, or expiation, he will inherit. Expiation, kafara, is what? Is قتل الخطأ, which is unintended killing, mistaken killing. Yeah, I guess I translated in the book as mistaken killing. قتل الخطأ. Indemnity will apply to both قتل الخطأ and العمد. Retribution applies to intentional killing, قتل العمد. Okay, so He says, if someone comes and we will not apply to him retribution, indemnity, and expiation, he will inherit. Can you give me an example? Someone who killed somebody, but did no retribution, no indemnity, no expiation.
When you have to protect yourself, maybe?
No, he's an executioner.
Hmm?
He's an executioner, maybe. Or he's an army.
But that's an expiation.
No,
Actually, both are right. So, dafa as-sa'il, if it is proven that the person was sa'il, there will not be. But the idea here is, we're not talking about justifiable because we agreed on justifiable before. All of that is justifiable, killing. But he means to add any permissible act that will result in someone's death will not become a hindrance of inheritance. So if I give my child medicine and it kills them, I will still inherit because it was a permissible act. It did result in killing, but none of these will be applicable to me. It was a permissible act. There was no negligence on my part to call this qatl khata, or mistaken killing. There was no negligence, so if I am driving, the speed limit, and someone just jumped in front of my car, it's not qatl khata. I'm driving in my lane, and I'm going by this. If I am driving beyond the speed limit, then it is qatl khata.
So you have to be negligent.
There has to be some degree of, some degree of error on my part. Or if I'm holding a spear or something, and someone ran into it, that is not my mistake. Is that clear now? I think we have covered this part.
Does this include all accidental killing?
If there is no error on my part, I will not be responsible for retribution, indemnity, or expiation. There is no error on my part, I will not be responsible for retribution, indemnity, and expiation. It is not a hindrance. I want you to remember this because it's actually like a good position and it's easy to remember. If I am not going to be responsible for retribution, indemnity, or expiation for qisas, diya, or kafara, I can inherit. Once I'll be responsible for qisas, diya, or kafara, I should not be able to inherit. Does that include mistaken killing? It's not only intentional, like Imam Malik said. It includes mistaken killing, because in mistaken killing, I am not responsible for retribution or indemnity, or I could be responsible for indemnity. But I'm responsible for the expiation. I'm not responsible for retribution for sure. I'm responsible for indemnity and expiation, not retribution. But so that is the difference between this and Imam Malik. Mistaken killing will not get me basically does not make me clear. Yes?
The person is driving and over the speed limit and causes the death of a family member in the car. So
You don't inherit according to the Imam Ahmad. You will only inherit according to the Imam Malik. Yeah. I guess that's it for hindrances. Let's just start to the next chapter, because the next chapter will may bleed into the next session, which is Bab Masail Shatta, chapter on miscellaneous issues. But I want you to remember, when it comes to hindrances, that person who is hindered from inheritance does not exist, vanishes, does not, Bab Masail Shatta, chapter on miscellaneous issues. The Shaykh said, rahimahullah, إذا مات عن حمل يرثه وقفت له ميراث ذكرين إن كان ميراثهما أكثر وإلا ميراث أنثيين فتعطي كل وارث اليقين وتقف الباقي حتى يتبين. Inheritance of fetuses. If one dies while there is a fetus or fetuses that would inherit from him or her, you reserve for them the greater of the inheritance of 2 males or 2 females. Then you give all other heirs what is certainly theirs, and you keep the rest until the outcome of the pregnancy is clear. You keep the rest until the outcome of the pregnancy is clear. And that is really, because we take those things for granted, we don't appreciate the beauty of the deen and the beauty of the sharia of the deen, because we just, we take it for granted and we're just like, it's fine. But to give the fetus all of those rights, the fetus has so many rights in Islam. It's amazing how many rights are due to the fetus in Islam. But to give the fetus even the right to inherit from their family members, not only their parents, but family members. Could be the fetus of, not necessarily my wife, or, it could be just any fetus that may inherit if he was existent, if he was outside, if he was like outside. Well, that's called ahliya. You know what ahliya means? Okay. So that we have 2 different types of ahliya. We have ahliyat wujub and ahliyat ada. Ahliyat al-wujub and ahliyat al-ada. What is ahliyat al-ada? Are you authorized to perform certain acts or not authorized? Ahliyat al-wujub, are you entitled to certain rights or not entitled? So that is why they call this sometimes liability. It's a capacity. Ahliya means capacity. Capacity, legal capacity, So ahliyat al-wujub, legal capacity as an entitlement, So sometimes they call this eligibility. Eligibility. Are you eligible or not? Eligibility. Okay. Are you eligible or not? Are you liable or not? Ahliyat al-wujub, certain things become wajib for you. You become entitled to certain things. Become due to you. Due to you. Ahliyat al-ada, certain things you become liable for certain things. Eligibility, liability. You could come up with any kind of translation for this. You could call this passive and active also. Sometimes they call this ahliyat al-wujub, passive capacity, because you are receiving here, the capacity to receive. And they call this active capacity, which is the capacity to perform, to exercise. Sometimes they say this, they call this the capacity to exercise, capacity to receive, I guess. Yeah, capacity to receive, capacity to exercise, or passive and active, or eligibility or liability. But you get what it means. Now the fetus, does the fetus have ahliyat ada? Okay. Fetus has ahliyat wujub. Ahliyat wujub, does the fetus have complete ahliyat wujub? No, it is called the naqis. Ahliyat wujub naqisa. It is called incomplete eligibility or incomplete passive capacity. And when the fetus comes out, إذا استهل المولود صارخا وإذا استهل المولود وارث. صارخا is the meaning of istihal. So when the child comes out crying, the Prophet ﷺ says, when the fetus comes out crying, or the newborn, mawlud is the newborn. When the newborn comes out crying, he or she inherits. Comes out crying, istihal comes out crying. But crying is a sign of life. If the medical team determined that the baby came out alive through other signs of life, then it also applies, because the scholars did not limit it to crying. They also talked about, al-haraka ghayra harakat al-mazbuh, which is movements that are voluntary movements that are not just like convulsions. but voluntary movements. They consider this to be an indication of life. Anyway, just to remember that when the newborn comes out alive, they inherit. Even if they die the second after they came out, they inherit, and then their inheritance becomes distributed to their own inheritors. So the fetus has layat wujub naqisa. So we have now someone died and their wife is pregnant, or someone died and their mother is pregnant. Their mother is pregnant. That brother or sister may inherit. Well, what do we do? Imam Ahmad says we would recommend for the rest of the heirs to wait until we figure out what's happening here, until childbirth, and we figure out what is happening. And then we will, the longest duration of pregnancy, this is like a whole different discussion, but the wait could sometimes be a little longer. But because according to Imam Ahmad, it could last up to 4 years, pregnancy, which we have, yeah. We didn't talk about this before? We talked about it. Yeah.
In a different building.
In family law. We're coming back to family law because you guys are forgetting some parts of it. So, but anyway, Imam Abu Hanifa said 2 years, Imam Ahmad said 4 years, Imam Malik said 5 to 7, Imam Shafi'i said 4 as well. Imam Ahmad and Shafi'i said 4, Abu Hanifa said 2, and Imam Malik, there is 5 to 7 to unlimited in summary. But finally, the laws use the position of Imam Muhammad ibn Abd al-Hakam, who was Maliki Shafi'i, Maliki then Shafi'i, then Maliki scholar, who said 1 year. Imam ibn Hazm said 9 months. Al-Hasan al-Basri said something that pretty much alludes to 10 months. And if he did actually say that, he was actually, the sort of the most accurate. But at any rate, the laws go by 1 year for precaution, margin of safety. So the laws in Egypt and Syria and in other parts of the Muslim world consider 1 year, the position of Muhammad ibn Abd al-Hakam, which is 1 lunar qamari year. Let's go back to where we are. So Imam Ahmad said we will recommend that they wait, but we will not force them to wait. Imam Malik said no, they have to wait. They ought to wait until childbirth, and then we divide. But the majority said no, we will not keep them because, like I said, the pregnancy to them could last for a long time. They said we can't hold them up all the time to wait for the division of the inheritance. What are we going to do? Imam Ahmad said we will suppose that there are 2 males or 2 females, whichever will have a greater inheritance. Whichever will have greater inheritance, we will keep reserve enough for 2 males or 2 females. Can 2 males have greater inheritance than 2 females? Yeah, but they can, right? Yeah. So let me give you like a very easy example here on when the 2 males will have more than the 2 females. 2 females will have more than 2 males when they will have the same thing. The easiest example, let us say a man was survived by his wife and 2 parents. 2 parents. His wife was pregnant. 2 females will have more or 2 males?
2 females.
2 females will have more or 2 males?
2 females.
Guys, no, you have to come through for me here because we've been doing this for. Okay, think about it. Two parents will get what?
160.
Each one will get 1/6. Both will get 1/3. What is the wife getting here? Huh? 1/8. If these come out alive, right? Okay. So two females will get what? 2/3, regardless. I don't have 2/3 for them. They'll still compete. We will do a awl, proportionate reduction. What will the two males get? They will get the leftover, the rest. So will they get less than the two females? Yes, because they are getting their share after, what is this? When you see 8 and another number that is not a factor of 8, you multiply, so 24. So 3 over 24 and 8 over 24, right? What is 8 and 3 is 11 over 24. What do we have left? 13 over 24 is what we have left. The two males will get 13 over 24. Certainly you will have to multiply by 2 to get, so it will be 48, and then this would be 26, and then each one of them will get 13 out of 48 of the males. Now, if you have two females, what do you get? They will compete. They'll be 2/3. So what is 2/3? 2/3 is what? 16 over 24, because we will go to 24, right? We said when you see 8 and another number that's not a factor of 8, you'll go to 24. 16 over 28. The wife will get what? 3 over 24. The parents will get what? 3 out of 24. The parents are getting 1/3. 1/3, 8, yeah. So 8 and 3 is 11. 11 and 16 is what? 27. So what do you do in this case? The numerator becomes the denominator. The 27 goes down here on the bottom. The 27 goes down on the bottom. What do the two girls get? 16 out of 27. What does each girl get? 8 out of 27. Well, obviously, 8 out of 27 is more than 13 out of 48. Well, it's just math, but it's quite obvious. Because the girls will not get the leftovers, which are less than 2/3. They will go in with the 2/3, and then there will be proportionate reductions. So when you find something interesting, then when it comes to immediate family, the girls have like security that they must inherit. They must get, and they have like fixated, designated shares to secure them. Okay, so that is when do the two males inherit just like the two females? You want to remove somebody here? Okay, can you remove the wife? You can't. No, but she will die after the guy died anyway, because if he has survived, she is carrying the fetuses. She can't be at the. Okay, but anyway, if he divorced his wife a third divorce during the pregnancy, does she become ba'in? And he is not in terminal illness. She demanded that she be divorced. So you cannot suspect him at all of any foul play. She demanded it. He gave her the third divorce. She becomes a ba'in. Finalized divorce. Does she inherit? No. Finalized divorce does not inherit. She's not raj'iyya, So she does not inherit. And then after he gave her that ba'in divorce, she is still pregnant. He died, and then she gave birth. In this particular scenario, if you removed the wife here, two males will be just like two females, because the parents got 1/3. What is left is 2/3. The two males will get what is left, 2/3. the two females will get, not what is left, 2/3. Okay, because they have this designation.
So if the parents are not there and the wife is divorced then, so the male 1 or 2 will get everything.
Yeah. If the parents are not there and the wife is divorced, yeah, the fetuses will get everything. So I am reserving this for them. I'm reserving this for them. Sometimes only males will inherit. The fetus, if he's male, he will inherit. Sometimes it's only a female that will inherit, right? If the fetus is a female, will inherit. But if the fetus was male, will not inherit. Like, we'll give you an example. So, a woman was survived by a zawj, husband. And she was survived by a full sister. Full sister. Now, what does the husband get? What does the full sister get? Her father is married to some woman. The father of the deceased was married to some woman. The father died. Her father, but the woman her stepmother is pregnant. Her stepmother is pregnant. Now, what are we expecting out of this pregnancy? We are expecting a paternal sibling. That paternal sibling could be paternal brother or paternal sister. Who will inherit? Only the sister. Why is it that the paternal brother is not inheriting? No leftovers. Right? No leftovers. The full sister, we said, took the half. The husband took the half. Do we have anything for a asaba? This would be a asaba. Do we have anything for residuary heir? No. Paternal sister, what does she get? What does she get? We said we will treat her like a granddaughter with a daughter. A granddaughter gets the 1/6. The remainder of the 2/3 that daughters should get. Al-Ukht li-Ab, the paternal sister, will get the 1/6. The remainder of the 2/3 that sisters, the genre of sisters, is entitled to. So since we have only one full sister, and sisters as a genre are entitled to 2/3, we are giving her 1/6. You will say there is no room for her. Proportionate reduction, awul. She has a designated share. It's not like she's a residuary heir, she'll take the leftover. She has a designated share, she will compete and get her. So you will find that close female relatives are always sort of having some security to get their thing. And unfortunately, I was too optimistic to think that we will finish this chapter on miscellaneous issues, but we were only able to, and even there is like one point that I need to mention at the end, because sometimes only a male would inherit, but these are examples just to sort of broaden your horizons. But the one thing that I should mention is, what if we had more than 2 fetuses? Huh? What if we had more than 2 fetuses? They will still claim their money after its distribution. They'll still claim their money. They are protected after its distribution. We spent it. The heirs will say, we spent it. You have to give it back to me. Because you should have been a little bit more careful, because this is an unsettled matter. So you will have to give it back to us if you spent it. If we had more than 2 fetuses, they will still claim their money. What if we had less than 2 fetuses, or we did, you know, they did not live or something? Redistribute among the inheritors as if they did not exist. Redistribute. It's not like you're going to give their inheritance to their own inheritors. No, they did not come out alive. They did not exist in the. That is why it's called aliyat wujub naqisa, because it is an incomplete capacity, because they are only entitled, and then they can pass it on if they came out alive. If they are alive inside but they don't come out alive, then in that period we're just reserving it for them, but they are not completely, no transfer of ownership. According to the stronger position, there was no transfer of ownership, you know, when they are fetuses. The transfer of ownership happened after they came out. But according to their agreement, they will not be entitled to inheritance unless they come out alive. So that's the discussion on the inheritance of the fetuses. Next time, inshallah, we will go over the inheritance of the missing, the divorce in terminal illness, or the divorcee in terminal illness, and disputed lineage, the intersex, I remind you of it, and dying all at once, al-gharqa wal-harqa wal-hadma, drowning, fire, and under the rubble. قل قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.